Welcome back, guys, to another Friday Gamer Log. As usual, I'll be talking about the games that I've been playing, games that will be coming up here in the direct future for YouTube, and any games I would like to buy or have bought. So, without further ado, let's get this thing started. As far as Animal Crossing City Folk is concerned, I did a little bit more work in that. I got my very last fossil finally, and with that, the only stuff that I have left to do here in the museum is collect paintings, which that's going to take forever. I figured the paintings would be the last thing that I'd end up getting completed in the museum, since you can only get one of them a week, and then there's the chance that it's a fake one and they won't put it in the museum if it's fake, obviously. So yeah, the paintings are still going to take a while. Still yet, I think that I have like 10 of them left. I also got another sea item from Pascal. I gave him another seashell and got another sea item from him. This time I got the helm. Looks like the steering wheel to a sailing ship or whatever, which is pretty cool. I remember I had one of those at one point in time. A friend of mine gave it to me. I didn't realize that it was kind of a special set of items though, and I wound up selling it. But it's all good. I got another one now. I also finally got my windmill. It's pretty cool. I like the windmill quite a bit. I read that the windmill is supposed to attract rare bugs, and the lighthouse is supposed to help attract rare fish. But I also read that those are just rumors and that they've been proven to be fake, but whatever. And probably the best news I have to report is that I finally completed the perfect town. I now have the golden watering can. I still haven't taken down the barriers marking my acres though, but that's okay. Obviously with Thanksgiving just passing and whatnot, I did the Thanksgiving event here on Animal Crossing. Thanksgiving event was pretty much just a great big game of hide and seek with the turkey named Franklin. Franklin was invited to the town to be a special guest, but of course he's supposed to be the feast. We were supposed to be eating him. Pretty much you talk to the mayor of the town, he'll give you a fork and a knife. Once you have the fork and the knife, you can either give it to one of your other neighbors and they'll give you a hint as to where Franklin is, or you can find Franklin and give the fork and knife to him and he'll give you a piece of the harvest furniture. I managed to collect all of the harvest furniture, which I was happy about, and I also managed to get each piece of the harvest furniture for a friend of mine who didn't get to do the event that day, obviously with it being Thanksgiving and all. I celebrated Thanksgiving a day late in real life, so it worked out. It gave me time to do the event and everything, so I was happy about that. On Thanksgiving Day, I also went ahead and replanted some trees. I had to cut down some trees whenever I was doing Perfect Town to get my town to perfect status. Whenever I cut the trees down, I marked where they were at with these one-up tiles, and I figured I'd just go through and replant the trees that I didn't want to cut down but had to. So, that was pretty good. I was glad to finally get to replant the trees because it made these bottom acres look really empty without them. I'm also planting quite a few roses and some other flowers to try to crossbreed some dark hybrid flowers for a friend of mine so that we can get a rare bug whenever springtime comes around. I also got my second fashion check from Gracie. Once again I failed it, you know, since I'm wearing the exact same clothes and all. Oh well though, I don't need to pass it or anything, just as long as I get another one. Now I just need one more fashion check from Gracie and then I can finish off the little side quest with the Able sisters. So I'm looking forward to that. For probably about the past week or so, me and a friend of mine have been seeing these two cats in our towns. Katie and Caitlin, I believe is what their names are. Each time my friend has had the daughter and I've had the mom in my town. But we've reunited them a few times now. He's the one getting the items, but he's letting me pick them up so that I get them in my catalog. So that's nice. That mom, Caitlin, is a really bad mother to keep losing her cat in a different town. Or kitten or kid or however you want to look at it. Still though, it's kind of a fun little event that you can do as friends, but it kind of sucks that you can only do this event with friends, but oh well, it's not that big of a deal. I think that the thing that sucks the most about this event is that the items that you get from these two cats can only be gotten from the cats. You can't ever buy them in a store or anything. So if you don't have any friends with you on Animal Crossing or whatever, you'll never be able to get the items from them. So that kind of sucks, but still, you can always meet friends online to play this game with and everything. The same friend that helped me reunite the two cats has also been doing his Perfect Town. He started doing his Perfect Town a long time before I started doing mine. I remember I helped him set up his barriers and everything. I think that his town was a little more difficult to set up for the perfect town because he has a lot more cliffs and stuff than I do, so it was a little more tricky to do that for him. But we got his perfect town set up and planted flowers and got everything ready to go with that. He should be getting his golden watering can tomorrow. But other than that, I've just been helping him catch some fish. I helped make him a checklist for what items he needs to get still yet and everything. But that's still quite a bit of fun. We ran into each other there. He's fishing and I'm trying to help him find some of the bigger fish out here in the ocean. He only needs a lot of rare fish. Here's his lighthouse. I like how the light shines at night. That's pretty cool. I like how he has one and I have the other. Kind of makes it to where we essentially have both. His native fruit is peaches. That was one of the first things he did for me whenever we first started playing Animal Crossing, was he brought me enough money to pay off my very first house to get it upgraded, and he gave me some peaches to put in my town so that I could have some foreign fruit. I've also completely bought all of the gorgeous furniture and items and everything in Gracie's for the month of November. I thought that she only sold this stuff in November, but apparently she sells them for the next 3 months. And on the last few days of the final month that she sells this, she gives a 50% discount, which if I would have known that, I would have just waited. But hey, that's alright. I also made the Triforce up here in the stars and everything. It's the very first time I've ever messed with this. So I made it pretty cool, and I think I like the way how the Triforce turned out. I still haven't really seen it whenever I'm looking up in the sky or whatever outside of the museum, but I don't really just think to look up and check it out or whatever. I also did the little mini side quest with the little bird that hangs out at the museum and sells coffee. After you drink so much of his coffee, he'll offer to start holding on to gyroids for you. Which in all the time that I've played Animal Crossing, I've never once tried to start hanging on to those. Which I'm doing that now, though. I've got a few stored at the museum and whatnot now. Any that I get that I don't need, I'm giving them to my friend. He's been collecting them longer than I have. In fact, I've given him a lot of the ones that he's had. But he found a lot of them on his own as well. As far as the run of Mother 3/Earthbound 2 is concerned, I made a little bit more progress into Chapter 8. I like how you can see the rope snake over there. Pretty much I just level grinded for a while and also got quite a bit of money. I bought Boney and Duster as many super bombs as I possibly could. And of course I bought everybody the best possible weapons and armor that I could afford for them. I like how you see these guys again from the Super Nintendo Earthbound, the Sanchez brothers and Thomas Jefferson. I played the little mini game, it was only $1 or whatever. Pretty pointless, but hey, I figured that I'd try it out. Relive old memories of the Super Nintendo Earthbound and whatnot. That's one of my favorite things about Chapter 8 is all the throwbacks to the Super Nintendo Earthbound. Once I was done level grinding and earning money and everything, I went ahead and entered the big pork building or whatever it's called. And I got on the elevator. Whenever I got on the elevator, one of the guys riding on the elevator with us recognized Duster as Lucky from the DCMC. Which, of course, can only mean one thing, and that is that the DCMC is here at this great big building and whatnot. So naturally, we went and met up with the DCMC, and they asked Duster if he'd play again in their band, be the bassist and whatnot, play again as Lucky. They kept his afro wig around from the last time that he played. And of course, we went ahead and put on that wig and did a little concert. I like the DCMC. I kind of like how one of your main characters is actually a member of the band. Although I kind of like the Runaway 5 for its personality and how they help you out a little bit more by giving you bus rides and whatnot, I still like the DCMC quite a bit as well. I think that they have better music overall. I'll go and let you all hear it now. Condagasa. Yep, they just moved right on to their next song, which Duster had a solo in. I'll go ahead and let y'all hear that as well. And yep, as they were going through that song, the power just kind of cut out on them, interrupted the concert and whatnot. Porky started calling out to Lucas and the gang, telling them to climb up to the 100th floor. As we were doing that, we made our way through this maze of bathrooms where we ran into the ultimate Chimera. We had to trick it into coming out of the bathroom, then we ran into the bathroom that it was inside of. We got a present, which had the awesome ring. Pretty good piece of equipment and whatnot. From there, we just kept making our way up. Kind of like this room, kind of funny how they designed those fountains. He calls it his special all-you-can-pee dungeon. Kind of like how the little throne or whatever up at the top also kind of looks like a toilet. Kind of funny, I suppose. Whatever the case, though, I continued to climb up the Empire Porky building, or whatever it's called, I forget. I continued to climb up it, and I came across the next Magypsy's house, which the Magypsy wasn't there, but it strongly suggests that Fasad was the Magypsy. As you see all these bananas laying around, crates with bananas, presents with ancient and luxury bananas. I picked up the razor and lipstick. You see horns, you see Fasad's clothes, so yeah, it's strongly suggesting that Fasad might have been one of the Magypsies, which is just weird, but whatever. After collecting the memento and all the bananas that were inside all of the presents in the Magypsy's house, I went ahead and continued my climb up the Empire Porky building. One of my favorite floors throughout the entire climb is this one here. You have to keep using these men as bridges. That's my favorite one right there that you just seen. Most of them you just simply have to run into them and they'll fall over, but that one was really cool, I thought. One of my favorite floors in this entire building. Eventually, as I was climbing, I came up to these looking areas where I climbed up some stairs and came across the guy who drove us to Pork City. After I met up with him, I had to play a series of mini-games with a robot Porky, which you had to lose, but you just had to barely lose, so you pretty much just have to humor Porky. The mini-games consisted of a whack-a-mole type game, and then we had to do a little bridge race. Then after that, you had to race to see who had popped their balloon first. I found the balloon popping one to be the easiest one to lose, or win, depending on how you want to look at it, I suppose. Once we went through all the mini-games, we were deemed fit to meet Porky finally, but before we could do that, we had to go through the NK Cyborg, the natural killer cyborg, which this boss wasn't too bad at all, with so many super bombs and magic and everything else at our disposal. PK Ground was especially effective on the NK Cyborg. It did quite a bit of damage and would always knock it down quite often, so that was also really nice. Whenever it would be knocked down, it couldn't do anything for a while. So yeah, overall the NK Cyborg was a fairly easy boss, thanks to PK Ground mostly. After defeating the NK Cyborg, obviously we get to pass through the door, which leads to one of my favorite moments in all of Mother 3/Earthbound 2. It's pretty much just one great big nostalgia trip. As you go through this long hallway here, you hear music from Mother 1/Earthbound 0 for the NES, so that's pretty cool. And then even more nostalgic for me, after we pass through this hallway, we get to do a big boat ride across a little indoor pond of sorts. And as you go on that boat ride, you get to see all different stuff from the Earthbound for the Super Nintendo. Get to see stuff like the Runaway 5's bus, you get to see Tessie, a few other things, a submarine. I think you get to see one of the vitalizing machines, the instant revitalizers or whatever they were called. Get to see a few phones. The Sky Runner from Dr. Endonut's lab. The little pencil and eraser statues and whatnot. Speaking of which, after crossing in this pond, we get a pencil eraser and we get the opportunity to erase an iron pencil statue. which does absolutely nothing, but still, kind of a neat little Easter egg, I suppose. You got the heli, which Pokey steals off the top of Monotoli's building. Dungeon Man, just an average bus. An ATM, the submarine. The submarine looks a little different to me here. That's alright though. Of course, just a random looking bike. One you can rent in Tucson, I suppose. Phase disorder. And heavily armored Pokey's armor. That's pretty much all you get to see along the boat ride. Oh, I forgot to mention the sesames from the desert. Overlooked them there for a moment because they're just a pixel. Still though, I don't think I ever actually completed that quest, if it can be completed. I remember talking to both of them several times back and forth, but nothing really too special happened out of them. After I passed through that boat ride, I took the opportunity to erase the iron pencil statue just for the fun of it, and I of course recovered all my health in the machine. After passing through that long hallway, after I recovered at the machine and erased the iron pencil statue, I met up with, apparently Porky. But, it's just little robot miniatures of him, basically. Well, not really miniatures, but robot clones of him, basically. And, this was one battle I remembered quite well. I thought that I remembered it being pretty hard, but overall, this time, whenever I fought him, he was really, really easy. Most likely because I had so many super bombs as well as tons of magic and everything to go off of. Not to mention all the leveling up that I did in the sewers to get money for better equipment didn't exactly help make things any more difficult in this battle. Overall, like I said, this battle was pretty easy, mostly thanks to having so many attack all items. So many super bombs and magics that attack everything helped me take out multiple little robot Porkies at once. So that was nice. And yeah, like I said, overall this battle was pretty easy. Probably my favorite thing about the entire battle with all these Porky robots is the ending to it. After you destroyed so many of the robots, the DCMC comes in and destroys all the remaining robots, which is pretty cool. It obviously reminds me of the clumsy robot battle in the Super Nintendo Earthbound right before you get Paula back from Monotoli. I always thought that it kinda sucked whenever Paula got kidnapped in the Super Nintendo Earthbound. At the same time though, I really did like how they paired up Ness and Jeff. Usually before Paula gets kidnapped, I'll try to go around and get as many bottle rockets and bombs, just in case I need Jeff to hit more than one enemy at a time. He can do that with the bombs and whatnot. Still though, while I do miss having Paula's really powerful magic, I do like how they teamed up Ness and Jeff since both of them are mostly physical characters. Although Ness has quite a bit of magic himself. But like I said, this little DCMC scene here reminded me of the Runaway 5 taking out the clumsy robot in the Monotoli building. Once that battle was done and over with, Flint showed back up as well as Wes and Alex. And some other people, of course. After a moment though, Porky himself showed up and came down and pretty much told us that his little robot was on his way to pull the last needle, obviously referring to the masked man. He told us that if we beat him to the needle, we could pretty much pull it or whatever. He'd let us use the elevator to go down there. Which, of course, the elevator was already underneath our little gang of party members here, as well as Flint. So we rode the elevator down, and then once we got to the bottom, Flint asked if we would let him go ahead. He asked if it'd be okay if we let him go ahead. Told us not to ask why, he just had to do that. So, of course, naturally, I told him that it was okay if he went ahead of us. For the most part, as I made my way through this final area of the game down here in the underground type area, I pretty much just tried to avoid a lot of the random encounters that I got into. Again, mostly because I did so much leveling up in the sewers trying to get money for my final equipment and a ton of super bombs and stuff like that. I just didn't really feel like I needed to level up at all, and I was right, I really didn't need to gain any more levels than I already did in the sewers. So that was nice, made this underground area go by quite a bit faster. As we made our way through this underground area, we eventually came up to an area where we seen Flint's hat blowing by, which was kind of interesting to get to see Flint without his hat on. Not that big of a deal, but still kind of interesting, I suppose. We met back up with him. He told us that the masked man was Lucas's brother. which pretty much I kind of expected that, knowing that only one other person was pulling the needles besides Lucas, and Lucas had a twin brother, just kind of went hand in hand. As I made more progress through this underground area, I actually finally fought Porky himself, who again, Porky was really easier than what I expected him to be. He pretty much suffered the same fate as the NK Cyborg did. He died pretty quickly to PK ground, constantly knocking him over, and I had a ton of super bombs that I was chucking at him. Then add on to that, we had tons of magic from Lucas and Kumatora and all that kind of stuff as well. After a while, after the battle progressed for a while and his machine pretty much got destroyed, he brought out an absolutely safe capsule and entered it. But from there, the battle was pretty much won. There wasn't anything else that we could do from there. If we attack him or hit him, it does 0 damage. So Porky pretty much just forfeited the match, and we didn't get any experience at all, which kind of sucked, but oh well. Once the battle was over, Dr. Andonut showed up and pretty much said himself that it truly is an absolutely safe capsule that him and the Saturns put together. But there is one problem with it. Once you enter it, you can never get out of it, so by that, Porky is pretty much trapped. And with Porky trapped in the absolutely safe capsule, I made more progress and eventually came up to the final needle in the Masked Man, which after that a one-on-one battle with Lucas versus the Masked Man started. You can revive your party members, but it's pretty much pointless since they'll just get killed off again. Pretty much this battle is just you guarding over and over and over again and occasionally healing. Really easy battle, but I still enjoyed it. Hanawa kept interrupting the battle, kept trying to knock some sense into Klaus. Eventually we seen this little black and white scene from whenever Klaus and Lucas were babies. Flint and Hanawa were talking back and forth. And eventually the Masked Man took off his equipment and revealed himself as Klaus. Which, after revealing that he is Klaus, he decided to do the bright idea of firing a gigantic thunderbolt at Lucas. You know, since that worked so well in the past with the Franklin badge reflecting them all back at him. Anyway, though, he decided to shoot a big lightning bolt at Lucas, which, naturally, the Franklin badge reflected it right back to Klaus and dealt mortal damage to him. One part of this battle that I accidentally forgot to get footage of is the part where Flint jumps in front of a PK Love Blast by Klaus. Really nice of him to do that, really caring of him as a father or whatever, but I had the situation more than under control. I had a ton of HP whenever that happened, and still plenty of PP to heal myself with. Still though, nice of him, but I had it under control, Dad. Whatever the case, so after Klaus took mortal damage, he staggered towards Lucas and pretty much said that he is sorry for putting everybody through so much trouble, and that he's getting ready to join their mom up in heaven and everything. I like how they took kind of an alter ego of the main good guy character, which is Lucas in this case, and made him a bad guy, which is Klaus, of course. It's kind of a new little interesting twist on making a dark version of a character like Dark Link or Dark Samus or something like that. You got an evil Lucas pretty much with Klaus. So I kind of like how they wound up doing that. It's kind of interesting that a child so young is so powerful as well. Once we got out of the battle for good, we seen Klaus laying on the ground, and it says that he gave his final breath. Flint pretty much told Lucas not to hold anything against Klaus, that he's just hasty. He says that he's happy that as a father he's finally found the son that he's been searching for. He said that earlier, but still. Once all the talking was done, we pulled the final needle. I've actually said no to pulling the final needle before, and it still pulls it anyway, just as if you said yes. So it's like the game saying, too bad, you're going to do it anyway. Of course, pretty much just the same thing happened whenever we pulled the final needle as what happens whenever you pull any of the other needles. It shakes for a little while, and you see like a fountain type spray or something come up for a little while. Then it flashes and you've pulled the needle. That's pretty much it, but still, finally got the last one pulled. About the only thing different with this one is that the dragon finally wakes up, what with it being the final needle and all. Of course, after the cutscene with the needle was done and over with, we got to see the ending cutscene of the game, as well as the cast of characters throughout the entire game and the credits themselves, which is always good. I kind of like how they have a cast for the characters in the game and then a little roll for the credits of the people that made the game and everything. I kind of like how they made it separate like that. You can kind of remember the characters that you met along the way throughout your journey and everything. So yeah, that's pretty cool in my opinion. Final cutscene, we get to see all the people here in New Pork City and whatnot. See the building here. It shows some of the stuff back on the surface and whatnot. You get to see some people that lived around Tazmily, the Chimeria factory, stuff like that, so that's pretty cool. I like how you get to see a lot of the different animal combinations running around near the Chimeria factory there. More animal combinations here on the Tantan Island, or Taintain Island I believe is where they're at. Pretty cool. I like how you get to see all the different locations and stuff. You see like a high up overview here. It's like causing a meteor shower or something. Pork troopers try to escape, but they end up getting hit by one of those. There's a factory where the claymen are working and everything. They're still going at it. They never gave up. Pretty hard, determined workers. They should get a promotion for working in a meteor shower. I don't think most people would do that. And yeah, you eventually see the ground split apart and everything. Then after this little scene here, it'll show you Osohi Castle, or however you want to pronounce it. The castle that Kumatora lives in. It'll show you a little scene of the castle sinking down. Then after this, I believe, is where you see the pork troopers trying to escape and they get hit by a giant meteor, which of course crashes their ship and everything. I like how everything's on fire in the background. Kind of looks cool. I like that. Yeah, there's the little pork troopers helicopter or whatever. They try to get away. They don't get very far before they get hit. Oh well, though, that's just karma paying them back for all the trouble that they gave everybody. So I like that. I like how they got what was coming to them. Get to see another overhead view here. Like that little big lava pit that's over there. Looks pretty cool. Looks like there's a lot of smoke coming out of it or something. Maybe that's supposed to be the dragon? Nah, I don't know. Something. Still is pretty cool. I like that. Overall, I like all the different cutscenes that you get to see here in the ending. It's a pretty good ending in my opinion. I like how you get to see the big ocean here and you get to see a big view of the island from afar and everything. That's pretty cool as well. Would have been kind of cool to see like maybe the Kraken or something from the Super Nintendo Earthbound pass by in the ocean as just like another little Easter egg or something. That would have been kind of cool, but oh well. Didn't really expect it. Still would have been kind of cool though. After all that was done and over with, it pretty much is like the end. Then after it says that to you, it's not actually the end of everything just yet. After it says that to you, you can keep walking to the left for quite a ways. And as you are walking to the left, people will keep talking to you every now and then. You can hear your footsteps as you walk to the left. And it'll do that for a while. You'll talk to a bunch of people before it will actually give you the cast of all the characters that appeared throughout the game. Which, like I said, I really like how they give you one cast for all the characters in-game and then another cast for all the people that helped make the game. Pretty cool. I only really remember probably about half of the characters that you see here in the cast. I remember Thomas from the opening scene of the game whenever the forest first catches on fire. Don't remember Nicole, Lisa, or Richie at all, though. Probably just people that lived in Tazmily. Of course, I remember Lighter and Phil. They appear quite a bit throughout the game. I really don't quite remember Bud and Lou. I don't think that I ever really stopped to talk to them. I remember Bronson. I remember Abbott and Abby. I delivered some happy boxes to them whenever I was playing as Salsa. I kind of remember Paul and Linda. I think that I also delivered some happy boxes to them as well. Could be wrong about that. I remember seeing Jackie here and there, but don't remember much else. I'm pretty sure that Tessie worked at the old folks' home in the future setting of the game. Pretty sure Betsy worked at the hotel. I don't remember Caroline or Angie. Of course, I know who Alex is. He's the grandpa. Hanawa's father. Hanawa or whatever her name was. Don't remember Matt Jill. I kind of remember Biff. I think maybe I delivered stuff to him. Of course, I remember Butch. He got money for selling his pigs and then blamed it on Duster whenever Fassad stole it. I don't really remember Ed, Nan, Allie, or Scamp at all. Of course, I remember Napolite, or whatever his name is there. The gravedigger, always works in the graveyard and whatnot. So yeah, I remember quite a few of these characters, but there's also a pretty big handful of them that I don't really remember. Don't really remember many of these. I remember Isaac and Reggie. Don't really remember Nana. Or Pusher, for that matter. A lot of these characters seem so minor that they probably shouldn't have even had a name, but oh well. I like how they tried to name as many people as they could. Of course, I know who Mapson is. Puts a lot of places on our map for us to go to. Really helpful guy. And yeah, of course we know Wes, Duster's dad. Love that dance that he does to open up the door. Of course I like it a little bit more whenever Salsa does it, but still. Of course I remember the friendly ghost from the trip through Osahi Castle. And yeah, I definitely can't forget Salsa. I actually didn't realize that his girlfriend had a name, Samba. It fits, I like that. I use the item guy here and there, but overall I don't use the item guy very often here in Mother 3/Earthbound 2. And yeah, of course we gotta know who the DCMC is. Like I said before, I really like the DCMC's music. I think that I like the DCMC's music and stuff more, but I like how the Runaway 5 gets more involved, it seems, in Earthbound for the Super Nintendo. I like their names, Neckbeard, Skinhead. I like the way how Kumatora looks whenever she's dressed up as Violet. Yeah, we got a huge cast of characters in this game. That's not necessarily a bad thing, though. I mean, just more people for you to interact with and get involved with or whatever. Got Dr. Ando Nuts here. Mr. Pump and Dry Guy. I actually didn't realize that those Chimerias had actual names. I don't remember the Bucket Bros at all. Of course, I know who the Claymen are. I helped escort the broken down ones in the factory. Of course, I know who the Ultimate Chimera is as well. And the Mole Crickets. Had to go to their lair because that one wanted to challenge us again. He went out in one hit. Poor Mole Cricket. Of course, I know who the Mr. Saturns are. Even if I hadn't played this game, I would have already known who they were. Even if I hadn't played Earthbound at all, I'm sure that I would have known them from the Super Smash Bros. Series. Got a leader in the Rope Snake there. I wish that Rope Snake wouldn't have became so depressed as the game went on. I thought that he's a pretty cool character. Got some more characters here. These are all just minor characters that don't really play a very big part in the game, I don't think. Just kind of there, but still, I like them. A lot of them remind me of the Super Nintendo Earthbound's characters, like the non-playable ones that you see around the towns here and there. I think from here it's pretty much just the minor characters that you see throughout the towns and stuff here and there. We do still have a few big characters that we'll see in the cast of credits here and whatnot. I know we'll be seeing Lucas and his family and whatnot still yet. Other than that, it's just, like I said, minor people as well as animals. Get to see the mice. I remember them living in the attic with the old broken up instruments and stuff. And of course the Dragos. Hey, they got their own little subtitle for their names. Then coming up next might be... No, it's the Magypsies. I was going to say Lucas and his family. I actually forgot about the Magypsies. I remember the first time I ever played through this game, they kind of weirded me out. I just thought that they were kind of crazy looking characters. But they don't bother me at all anymore. I think that they're pretty interesting. I like how Mixio Lydia and her little companion there look completely different whenever the characters are high on shrooms. They're pretty cool characters though, I like them. I like how Lonia just kind of flies away. And of course you gotta have the save frogs. I don't remember the save frog in the umbrella. I'm sure that I came across it, but I just don't remember it. And of course Fassad and his interpreter. Fassad makes me hate him. Kind of like how they gave all the different pig masks a little bit of screen time here in the cast of credits. You got the Colonel, the Major, and all of them. Regular pig masks and the pig mask aquas, I believe is what they're called. And of course that big one. That little big pig mask with the horns is such a pushover if you have DCMC equipment. Still though, he's pretty cool. Then you got the guy that drives us around, a Porky. Oxygen supply. Kinda funny how they converted one into like a centaur type creature. Whenever he appears, he's pointless to get oxygen from, but you can if you want. And then of course there's Porky and the Masked Man. I like how they show Klaus taking off the helmet and walking down. You don't actually get to see that whenever you're in that final battle. And of course their Mom and Dad, Flint and Hanawa. Boney. Boney's a really cool dog, I like him. And of course we all know who Lucas is. Wait, who's Lucas? Or her? And with that, I believe that's the end of the cast of credits and whatnot. Yeah, like I said, it's a really long list. Takes like 8 or 9 minutes to go through all of them. Pretty long. And of course, right after the cast of credits is finally finished and over with, we go straight into the credits with all the people who made the game. One of my favorite things about the credits of the people that made the game is the music that plays throughout the credits and whatnot. You'll get to hear it here in just a minute, of course. I like how you also get to see different scenes from your journey and everything as you went through the game. Like the very first one that you see is like right at the beginning of the game whenever the mole cricket challenges you and you're playing with the Dragos and everything while you're at Alex's house up in the mountains and whatnot. Like I said though, probably my favorite thing about the credits here is the music that plays. You start off hearing the music from Mother 1/Earthbound 0, then eventually it kicks into the music from Earthbound/Mother 2 for the Super Nintendo. So I like that quite a bit. Little scene where Flint meets up with the Magypsies while they're searching around for Klaus. I remember one of the Magypsies was kind of mean whenever we were trying to find Klaus. They're just like, who cares? Then of course the scene where Duster brought the wrong vase home. Wes shatters it, calls him a moron. Again. Got the scene here where they finally find that egg. Then it sets off the trap and they fall down, and then we fight the oh-so-snaky boss. If I remember right, that boss wasn't too much trouble. Then we got this little scene here. God, I hate Fassad. Zapping Salsa. Fassad is a really good villain. They did a really good job making him a bad guy. Really makes you hate him for all the stuff that he does. The scene where Kumatora and Wes are helping Salsa escape here. I like how they let Salsa destroy the controller and it zaps him for it. I think that the music that's playing right now is probably my favorite piece of music throughout the cast of people that made the game. Probably just because it's the most nostalgic for me, since the first Earthbound that I ever played was the one for Super Nintendo. And of course it was the only one that I played for quite a while. Still though, I do like the entire Earthbound series. I'm really happy to have done another run of Mother 3/Earthbound 2 as well. This was my third full run of this game. I did one run for YouTube, the run that I just completed, then the first run that I ever did before the one that I posted on YouTube. I really like this game and I look forward to doing a million more playthroughs of it. It's a really good game. I especially look forward to doing Mother 1/Earthbound 0 next. It's the only one of the three that I haven't played recently. And I've only ever done one full run of Earthbound 0, so I really look forward to doing that. I don't remember much of it, but I really did enjoy it. The entire Earthbound series in general is a really good series of RPGs in my opinion. I really like the gameplay style in these games. I like how in Earthbound for the Super Nintendo and Earthbound 2 here for the Game Boy Advance, you can actually see your random encounters on the overworld map, so they're easier to avoid that way. And I don't mind that in Earthbound 0 for the NES you can't see them. Mixes things up a little bit, makes one of the games have more random encounters like that. One of my favorite things about the Earthbound series is its quirky humor. I really like all the humorous moments that it has as you go through each of the games. Makes it that much more enjoyable in my opinion. Sadly, Shigesato Itoi says that he's not interested in making an Earthbound 4th though. He says that if somebody else wants to make a 4th one, then he'll gladly play it though. But still, I don't think that it would be the same without him. It might be pretty good though. I'd definitely buy it if they made an Earthbound 4. I especially look forward to starting my next Earthbound run, which of course will be the NES Earthbound 0/Mother 1. Like I said, I've only ever done one full run of that game, so I look forward to doing it again. One thing that I think kind of disappointed me in my first run of it was I think that Teddy didn't get much playable time, which isn't that big of a deal, but still kind of a bummer in my opinion. And this gamer log is extremely long, so I have to divide it into 2 parts. Kinda like this ending little screen here. Whatever the case though, that is it for part 1 of episode 29 of the Friday Gamer Logs.